barriers of communication. So we have 10 barriers to effective communication. 1. Physical barriers. When we do not have adequate equipments, we want phone but we cannot take online classes because we need smartphone with that. We need a thermometer to check the temperature. We need system to record our videos. So first barrier to effective communication comes at physical level. Second comes at attitude level. I am not in an attitude to listen to you because you are junior to me. So I have a negative attitude towards you. Why should I listen to you? I have an emotional lack that I am not in an emotional state to listen to you. Another barrier comes as language barrier. I do not understand as a person the language you are speaking, right? I come from a different generation, different background, different region, and for me it is always namaste and not hello. So the regional colloquialism, professional jargons obviously have a negative effect. Physiological barriers. When I am at my worst of my health, my eyesight is poor, I do have pains, I am not actually grasping the other person's message. Next is again a biggest problem with the structure of the organization we are working with. Means there are information system is not clear, training is not given, there is faulty communication system. So there we have this structure design. Cultural barrier. When your culture is completely different to the culture you are going to work with. Another, we do not have common experience. We are totally poles apart. That this person is being talked in a different way and this person takes it in a different manner because of the common experience lacking. So that's where comes the seventh barrier. Next comes ambiguity, or I would say the confusing and the overuse of abstractions. The information I have, right, and I have conveyed in my knowledge is not equal to your knowledge, right? So that causes confusion. For me, Sia means okay, but for you it would be different. Excessive information, excessive details can obviously cause a burden, and that is the ninth barrier as information overload. And the last barrier being jumping to conclusions without even listening to the other person, without even thinking of the other person. So these are the barriers to communication which we anyhow need to avoid to have proper smooth flow of information from one person to the other person. All right. So what are the do's? From all the slides, from all the information we have read, let's come for the do's of an effective communication. Summarizing what are the do's and don'ts for effective communication. The first one being always express your expectations to the other so that your message is clear and practical without having any barrier. Always use less words like never, always, forever. Absolute words are a big no-no. We may use maybe probability, right, and accurate words which everybody can understand. I cannot say that you always understand. We know that's a complete absolute word. Some people may disagree with this fact. Be good, attentive, and always an active listener. Always filter the information correctly, not according to your barriers, or may it be language barrier, may it be cultural barrier, may it be I would say physical barrier, but according to the reality of the life before passing on anything to anybody. So establish one communication channel and always eliminate the intermediaries. I hope you must have heard about a game called Chinese whispers. Like whenever I try to communicate the same sentence from first person of the row, and when it goes to the 10th person of the row, the message I started with is completely changed at the end. Now that is called as lack of listening. That is called as so many channels. So every channel has its own barrier and it adds on to that information or subtracts something from that information. So the message comes out as completely different. So here I would say that there's Socrates three filter test. You should always follow that Socrates three filter test whenever somebody is going to tell you any information. And those three filters are filter of truth, filter of utility, and filter of, I would say, usefulness. So filter of truth means, is that information you are telling me true? If it is not true, you need not listen. Second thing, is the information you are telling me useful to me at any cost? That is a filter of usefulness. If it may be useful, the other person is doubtful on the case that it may or may not be useful, then you need not listen. And the third filter, that is the filter of utility. Would you get something to pass on this information to me, right? Or is this information having any benefit? I would say the filter of benefit, or you can say advantage. Is it beneficial for the other person you are giving the information to me about, right? The third person you are talking right now with me, would it benefit to him or her somehow? If it is no, then there is no need to listen. So always be precise in whatever you are taking from the other people. Pass on through these three filter tests and always take the information which is for your benefit. Okay, we have we have already heard that we should follow the you attitude at all occasions, because we need to view the situation in the eyes, according to the eyes of speaker. Maintain eye contact or write the instructions if we are talking about writing. We should be clear, not accented, and avoid any kind of miscommunications of words and semantic noise. And we can ask for the repetition. As I said, when we talk about feedback, we can ask something to be repeated wherever we are in demand for that. Make the organization or the place you are working, you are studying, more flexible, dynamic, because change is something which is permanent and it is always welcome. Always get and give a proper feedback. Going to the don'ts of communication. Do not be a selective listener. Means do not listen what you want to listen, right? Listen what is basically, I would say, as per the three filter test, is a truth, the principle of truthfulness, the principle of utility, and the principle of benefit, right? So if it follows yes in all the conditions, then listen. Obviously starting follows all the three conditions. And you don't need to be a fixer in every situation where you are trying to find out the fault in others, you can say structure, other person, or others way of doing the things. Just relax and be your own self. You cannot be the fixer, you cannot change the entire world. Better change yourself. Never be a daydreamer, and never use from one person to the third person you want to convey the information. It should either be 1 2 3 or 1 2 3, right? There should not be a long chain of communication. Do not use technical jargons which is not understood by the other person, because it is considered that when you are using such words you are avoiding that person. You do not want that person to be the part of your communication. So do not jump to conclusions immediately. Please listen, respond. Try responding to the situation rather than reacting. As discussed earlier, never ever interrupt the speaker and distract him by asking too many irrelevant questions. So by now you must have understood when we how to communicate, why effective communication is necessary, and now when you have understood the basics, why it is important, why you have to uh, deliver effective communications, you can practice it by improvising your strengths and identifying it. And the initial step is charity begins at home. Always start by practicing it with your friends, with your colleagues, because they would give you constructive criticism in the areas you need an improvement. Your friends who are with you in the need time as well as when you are at the most vulnerable stage, they would be able to give you the best of ideas. Another thing, you can practice improving your communication habits, which includes verbal, non-verbal, your body language. You may also go ahead by attending communication skills workshop, classes, and always find out and take advantage of the opportunities that you get when you communicate with the people. So, ahead to the questions. I guess by now you must be able to answer what is communication, what are its types, what are the 7 C's of communication. You can explain them with examples. We have discussed 10 barriers, and you would be able to explain just 3, why body language is important while communicating your message, etc. You can also refer the book Work Skills Handbook by Karen Holmes, which was published in 2011. And you can, the basics of improving communication is when you go through current updates, newspapers, and watch and implement those video interviews and YouTube lectures whenever you learn. So, whenever you learn something, try incorporating. Just watching won't help you. Thank you and have a nice day.